Yo, what's up? This is Simon. Right now it's Tuesday night. I don't have anything to do on Tuesday night, so I guess I'm just gonna do another video. A lot of you have requested me to talk a little bit about our China's social credit system. So yeah, I guess today I'm just gonna try to scratch the surface of that topic. I did some research regarding to the China social credit system, but I don't find a lot of information, probably because social credit system in China is still a fairly new thing compared to a lot of developed country, where credit system have existed for a fairly long time. I would say it is mainly because that in China we don't have a lot of people who are used to using credit cards, especially for the older generation. They still tend to save money and then spend the money they earn instead of like borrowing money from the future. So back in probably 20 or 30 years ago, there's probably no need for having a social credit system at the very beginning. But I would say for the younger generation, definitely they start adopting this credit system. A lot of people having credit card, and sometimes they spend too much money and end up couldn't returning those debt, which also creates some issues. But anyways, I guess at the beginning of the video, I will just give you guys some context, some background, and tell you why I think the majority of people in China are pretty supportive towards having a social credit system in China. And second of all, I'm gonna just introduce you some different versions of or different forms of social credit system in China, because right now I don't think we have a universal credit system. There are several different versions. Some of them are started by the government, some of them are backed by private companies. And last but not least, I'm just gonna tell you some of the risk and challenge I think we will face in the future. So yeah, let's get started. So before, in China, we don't have any kind of like social credit system. And this actually create several issues. We got a lot of scammers who just try to trick you money, and also it create a lot of dishonest business practice. For instance, someone can just open a company in a certain city, maybe a gym or a barber shop. Then they will try to sell those membership cards, and after they collect a certain amount of money, they will just close down the shop and switch to another spot and open a new one and redo it again. And at that time, the government couldn't do anything to prevent that from happening, because we don't have a credit system which will be able to track all those bad business practices. So it creates problems. It also creates some trust issues among small business. Let's say you have a small company and you try to do business with another small company, and at that time, because we don't have any sort of credit system, so you have no idea whether they are honest. Have they been involved in any scam or any other legal disputes? You won't have any clue. So it's hard to trust other small business if you haven't actually know them. So it's kind of risky, and having a contract at that time don't actually mean anything, because if other party they don't want to fulfill the contract, they will just leave, or they will just close the company and they start a new one. And yes, you can sue them, but most of the time the owner will just switch or transfer their wealth to their family members or their friends, and so the court also couldn't do anything. But at that time, they can still enjoy their life. So it's pretty annoying, I would say. So that's why I think the majority of people are pretty supportive of having a sort of social credit system in China, because now we can track all those bad business practices. And if we have a book to record all those kind of things, it will actually discourage people from doing those bad behaviors, right? Now, so far, I don't think we have a universal social credit system. There are actually several versions, like I've mentioned before. Some of them are owned by the government, some of them are started by private companies. So let me just give you several examples. I'm not even sure if they are considered as social credit system. So there is a website which will provide you with all kind of essential information for a company. So as long as the company is registered in China, You can just jump into that website and find a lot of information. For instance, who is the owner of the company, who is the shareholders, and whether those legal representatives have owned other companies before, and whether those companies are involved in any legal disputes before. I would say it's a pretty decent website. As long as the companies are registered in China, then you can find all kind of essential information for that company. So if you're trying to join a Chinese company, or if you want to do business with a Chinese company, you can go check out that website before making the decision, right? There are also some other social credit systems who don't open to public, but they are open to certain department and organization in China. I think there is a blacklist which is designed for people who fail to fulfill their commitment. For instance, if you have a company and then the company went bankrupt, and then you end up like owning a lot of money for your investors and all those suppliers, and you couldn't return all those debt, then your name will probably be put on that blacklist. I remember the CEO of Ofo, one of the biggest sharing bike company, his name is on that blacklist, and also some other important figure. I'm probably just gonna attach some of those names somewhere in the video. Probably you know some of them. Anyways, back to the topic. So if your name is on that list, then it means you couldn't do a lot of things. For instance, you can't live in 5-star hotels, you can't fly first class, and you can't take high-speed railway train. So basically, if your name is on that list, it will prevent you from consuming any luxury product or services, which I think is pretty understandable. If you couldn't return your debt, if you couldn't return all those money, then you shouldn't have money to be spent on those luxury product and services. But I'm gonna say those social credit systems are quite far away from average people like us, because the majority of Chinese don't have owned a company, and we probably haven't borrowed a huge amount of money from those large organizational entities. So I'm gonna say right now in China, the most popular down-to-earth social credit system is called Zhima Credit, which is owned by Alibaba. You know, Alibaba is founded by Jack Ma. Jack Ma is probably the most influential business guy in China so far. So basically, the Zhima Credit will try to analyze all the information it can get from us, probably our purchasing behavior from Taobao and all those affiliated apps, and also our saving from Alipay, and maybe some other matrix, I don't know. But they will come up with a score for every one of us, and the higher the score we get, the more benefits we will get. Let me just try to quickly show you the app. So first of all, let's just open Alipay and then go to Zhima Credit. Now let me just show you my score. Okay, hopefully you can see it. Here you go. That's, I don't know, can you see it? That's my score. So it's 769. I don't know how he calculate my score, so I will assume it's pretty nice. It says I am above like 90% of my peers. It will calculate my score several times a year, and if you want to further increase your score, here you have assets certification. So if you own any cars or any real estate, you can upload the certificate, and I guess it will bump your score a little bit. And then there is ID certification. So you can also upload your education background. Probably if you graduate from a more prominent university, it will also increase your score. And your driving license, I don't know if it has anything to do with driving license though. So any other thing, like that one is called social connection, but that's pretty vague. Like, okay, so let's go back. If you have Alipay, if you have Zhima Credit, please let us know how much score you got. Okay, and so what kind of benefits you get if you get a higher score, you may ask, right? So one of the benefits you can get is that you can get some discount from some product. get some yeah, coupon, but I don't think that's actually benefit. I think that is just some promotion, you know. Let's go back. Oh, okay, here it says like credit shopping, so you can use your credit to make some shop. It doesn't mean you don't have to pay. It means you can, if your score is like higher than, here is like 650. If your score is higher than 650, then you can get the product first and then try the product for like maybe several days and then decide whether you want to keep it or not. So they give you this kind of option. So yeah, I'm gonna say that's good. That's not too bad. So other option, other benefits you will get is that if you want to rent a car, then if your score is above 600, you don't need to make the deposit payment. Most of the time, if you don't have enough credit, then you need to make a deposit, and that deposit usually range from probably 300 kwai to 500 kwai. It depends on the car you borrow. But if you have a decent score on German credit, then you don't have to make a deposit, which I think is pretty nice. It means because you have a higher score, so basically the shop trusts you. And what else? And oh, actually, you can also, if your score is above a certain level, here like 600, you can borrow a lot of electronic device without making any down payment. So here you can, maybe during the weekend you can borrow, I don't know, a camera, and then you can go to Disney World or go somewhere else, you know, with that camera. So let's see, right now I'm using this 6400. I didn't borrow one from here, but if I want to borrow one from here, then the daily rate is 25. And if you don't have enough credit, then you need to put a deposit, which is about 6,300. But now, because my score is above a certain level, so I don't have to make that down payment or that deposit. I can just borrow it right away, and then after I return it, I can make that rental fee. Okay, so yeah, I don't think there are too much feature, but it's probably getting better. Oh, actually, here I want to show you. Let's see if I can find it. If you are above 750, if you want to get a Canada visa, you don't need to provide any other financial support, because if you are above 750, they assume you have enough money. And if you are above 700, some other country, they will just probably give you a visa right away, because they consider you are have a high credit, you know. So yeah, I think that's some other benefit you will get. And I think that's pretty much it. I also heard that if you have a high German credit, you can also have a lower interest rate when you want to, let's say, have a mortgage in China. So definitely they're still working on that app. Don't have a whole lot features right now, but they are still trying to add more on that. So I'm gonna say, yeah, that's basically it for German credit so far. I'm just gonna add one more thing. I just talked with some of my friends. They told me that one of the benefits of having a high score on German credit is that it will allow you to borrow money from Alibaba. So if you open your Alipay application, and there's another app called Huabei. Basically, it's a credit card system. It will take your German credit score as a reference and calculate how much money they can give you this month. So you can spend all those money, and next month you return those money. So yeah, I guess it's just like a credit card. All right, conclusion. What do I think about having a social credit system in China? To me, I would say having a social credit system is indeed pretty essential. It can prevent a lot of bad things from happening again, and also, you know, it will reward people who actually keep promise and fulfill all those commitments. and try to punish people who fail to keep those promises and make some dishonest business practices, right? I think that's the bright side. But I'm not saying that it won't have any issue. I also fully aware of all the risk and challenge we will face in the future. For instance, we have no clue what kind of matrix they might put inside. Right now, they can actually gather all kind of information, because nowadays there's so much information from us, from our chat history, from our social media, and the video we watch, the book we read, the message we type in, all those keywords, right? They can actually analyze all those data. I'm gonna say right now AI is probably smart enough to actually figure out your personality, your value system, what kind of social status you have, what kind of book you like, what kind of movie you would like to enjoy, and what kind of political view you will have. And I don't know if in the future they will take those things into consideration in order to calculate your social credit. And maybe in the future, people on the top, they will be like, hey, we will give higher social credit to people who can fit into our grand plan, and we will assign lower social credit to people who doesn't fit into their masterpiece. Will that happen? I don't know, but I am also aware of those risks, and I think in the future we not only need to replace the CEO of those social credit system once in a while, we also need to replace the CTO of those companies, because the technology, the algorithm they have are becoming so powerful in the future, and definitely will shape every single people's life. And I think that is one of the risks not only China but all countries around the world need to really be aware of. So yeah, I guess today it's just gonna be a short video. I'm not going to get any deeper, so gonna end the video right here. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you want more content from this ordinary Chinese dude, please subscribe to my channel. And if you have any insights or any feedback regarding the topic, please drop a comments. Let us know what do you think about the social credit system in China or any other country. So yeah, guess that's pretty much it. See you guys next one. Peace.